America, mid-20th century. World War II is over and the economy is soaring. Hail fins gleam, rock and roll blares from the jukebox. It's the golden age of television. And for millions of Americans, anything seems possible. In 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs the Federal Aid Highway Act into law, launching the construction of 41,000 miles of new highways, unleashing a new era of motion. America is booming and on the move. And at the end of those new roads, our national parks. But when we arrived, the parks were not ready. Yosemite was jammed, Yellowstone overwhelmed, the Grand Canyon buckling under a tidal wave of tourism. During World War II, Park Service personnel and budgets had been drastically cut and maintenance programs deferred as resources were reallocated for wartime efforts. America's national parks had a problem. They were being loved to death. In response, the National Park Service would launch one of the most ambitious public works programs in conservation history. It would be called Mission 66, a bold 10-year effort kicking off in 1956. The mission? Modernize, expand, save the parks, and in doing so, change not only how Americans would visit national parks, but what our parks would become. Welcome to History 360, where we take a dive into the people, places, events, and stories that have shaped what's been called America's best idea, our national parks. Today we look at Mission 66, the billion-dollar gamble that reinvented America's national parks. The country was changing, and changing fast. Post-World War II America ushered in an era of unprecedented economic expansion, a massive baby boom, and the rise of a suburban middle class. Automobiles became our new symbols of freedom. New highways connected cities to far-off places like never before. Our national parks would feel this boom. In 1940, the parks had welcomed about 21 million visitors. By 1955, more than 50 million, and climbing. But most park infrastructure belonged to another era. Rustic lodges, narrow roads, small primitive campgrounds, beautiful, but not built for the modern age. Scenic drives became traffic jams. Trash piled up. Bathrooms failed. Historic structures deteriorated under crushing demand. John D. Rockefeller Jr., a longtime supporter of the parks, called the state of the parks a national tragedy. National Park Service Director Conrad Wirth saw the crisis clearly. Wirth, director of the Park Service from 1951 to 1964, believed that access to the parks was a right of the American people. But Wirth wasn't a romantic preservationist like John Muir or even Stephen Mather. He was a planner who had been shaped by New Deal public works. He believed the Park Service had a choice: restrict access to parks or pursue a massive overhaul to park infrastructure. He saw firsthand what post-war tourism was doing to fragile parks, and his warning was blunt. Without a massive intervention, America's national parks would be loved to death. His answer? A decade-long modernization program, timed to coincide with the Park Service's 50th anniversary in 1966. Not just a repair project, not a renovation, but a complete reimagining of the American national park experience. And not since Stephen Mather created the Park Service nearly 50 years prior had such a large undertaking been attempted. Mission 66 was massive. 114 new and improved visitor centers, 2,000 employee housing units, hundreds of campgrounds, new roads, bridges, trails, utilities, and sewage systems. This was one of the largest infrastructure investments in park history. But this wasn't just preservation or a construction project. It would fundamentally change the identity of national parks. Until now, parks often relied on scattered ranger stations or small museums to engage visitors. Now visitors would enter through a centralized hub designed to orient, educate, and manage crowds. Maps, exhibits, restrooms, parking, films, concessions, the birth of the modern visitor center. This would be Mission 66's greatest legacy: nature organized, reimagined for the atomic age. Gone also was rustic parkitecture, log beams, stone lodges, structures designed to blend quietly into the landscape. In its place came a new era of park architecture known as Park Service Modern. Flat roofs, glass walls, steel, geometric precision, functional, cost-effective, redesigned for the age of mass tourism. At Yellowstone's Canyon Village, an entire visitor complex arose from the forest. At Kill Devil Hill's futuristic line celebrated flight. In Zion National Park, modernism met the desert landscape. To supporters, it was visionary. To critics, it looked like suburbia had entered the sacred wild. Mission 66 transformed the parks, but this transformation came at a cost no blueprint could fully measure. To move more people, roads cut deeper into fragile landscapes. To handle the onslaught of automobiles, parking lots expanded. To make room for this modernization, historic structures were sometimes demolished. This growing infrastructure intensified debates that still echo today. How much development can wilderness absorb before it stops feeling wild? Mission 66 had improved access, but had it compromised experience? Conservationists criticized Mission 66 for placing too much emphasis on development. Critics argue the parks were becoming too engineered, too commercial, too convenient, too modern. Edward Abbey, noted author and environmental advocate, was a vocal critic of the sanitized park experience. He wrote, "Let the people walk or ride horses, bicycles, mules, wild pigs, anything, to keep the automobiles and their motorized relatives out." But just as Americans were on the move, so were the parks. Mission 66 brought undeniable progress. It consolidated information, restrooms, and administration into one accessible building, expanded ranger-led education and professionalized interpretation, improved sanitation, protected resources from unmanaged overuse. Ultimately, it reinvented the national park experience into what we recognize today. By 1966, the mission was mostly complete. Its cost, nearly $1 billion, about $12 billion today. Its legacy, visitor centers, scenic overlooks, roadside pullouts, campgrounds, improved utility systems. But its greatest impact can't be measured in dollars or infrastructure projects. It was philosophical. Mission 66 acknowledged a new reality. America's parks were no longer remote wilderness for the few, they were landscapes for the many. Echoing Stephen Mather's vision back in 1916, make the parks accessible for everyone. The mission wasn't simply preserving scenery, it was managing the people within it. The question remains, how do we preserve wilderness in a mass consumption society? Many of the problems that spurred Mission 66 still afflict our parks today. Park Service must weigh trade-offs that manage visitation and provide access without harming the natural resources the parks are meant to protect. At its core, Mission 66 highlights the tension between conservation and use. It's a delicate balance still wrestled with today. Mission 66 was bold. It modernized America's parks at a critical moment. It saved many from collapse under tourism pressure, but it also reshaped them with concrete, glass, and asphalt. Love it or hate it, Mission 66 brought the national parks into the modern age. And every time we step inside a visitor center, watch an orientation film, or pull up at a scenic overlook, we're experiencing its legacy. Because America didn't just preserve its parks, it rebuilt them for a new century and a new America. Hey, thanks for watching. If you can, like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you next time on History 360.